Imagine turning off all of your devices and shutting down all your screens. Imagine sitting in a room in silence. Except it wouldn't be silent. Soon you would hear a joist crack and the house shift, or the furnace come on, the cat snore. Maybe a bird would fly past the window. Maybe your eye would rest on a picture on a shelf, a picture of someone you love or of a place you love, and those feelings would come back. Those memories would surface. Robert Barron says that when we read this creation story in Genesis, we're so focused on the tree we're not supposed to eat that we forget about all the trees we can. And I think he's right. The word that stands out to me in the Genesis story today is various. The various trees in the garden, and how delightful they are and good. This is why we fast, and this is why we try to resist temptations. Not just to deny ourselves, but to fulfill ourselves in the end. To make ourselves available to all the true abundance around us, hidden or unnoticed or forgotten. For if, Paul says, by the transgression of the one, death came to reign through that one, how much more will those who receive the abundance of grace come to reign in life through the one, Jesus Christ? That word abundance, the abundance of grace. Jesus fasts for 40 days in a desert. And the desert is not a garden. It's a difficult place and a harsh place. But it's also beautiful and full of life and layers and depths of structure and meaning if we know how to look. And Jesus knows how to look. And he was hungry, Matthew says, after 40 days. And who could blame him? And imagine how good that apple must have tasted when he bit into it. Or that fig. Or that piece of bread. On Mardi Gras night, Barb and I had pizza. And I ate and ate until my tongue got thick and my stomach congealed. And the pizza didn't taste that good, really, after the first slice. That first slice was really good. Pizza is proof that God loves us. But after the first slice, it didn't taste good. It didn't satisfy any real hunger. But on the few occasions when I have been more restrained, and I have watched what I've eaten, and I finally bite into that apple, I'm aware all at once of how wonderful apples are. And how pure and sweet. What a miracle food is. And I think that's one of the reasons we fast. Not to punish ourselves, but to prepare for the deeper satisfactions of eating what is healthy and right. It's not the only reason, of course. We fast because when we're even a little bit hungry, we're in a better position to identify with all the hungry people in the world. The hundreds of thousands in South Sudan, for example, in neighboring countries, who are suffering now what the United Nations has just officially declared to be a famine, a terrible, terrible famine. And because we've spent less on food, we have money to give other people. From our excess, we can distribute what is needed elsewhere. Food isn't a little thing. And it's not just a metaphor. It's part of whole systems of production and distribution, some of which are just and some of which are not. So whether we like it or not, eating is a political act. It has consequences. I also think that fasting from chocolate or coffee or something like that is valuable exactly because it's so simple and conventional. It humbles us. Especially those of us who like to think in the abstract, right, in terms of big symbols and big ideas. No, this is down to earth, and it's real. Abstractions are easy. Fasting from chocolate or coffee is real. And by the way, it's not in the least bit easy. It's difficult. It does involve suffering to some degree. And that suffering is necessary and good. But what strikes me the most today about the temptation of Adam and Eve and the temptations of Christ is that these temptations come from the outside, are external, and that they come into a naturalness and a goodness that already exist. Adam and Eve are in a garden, a perfect garden. And in a sense, we are too. We are loved by God just for who we are, just for breathing. That's given. We are worthy of love just for who we are. It's like when we go on a vacation or a retreat and we get away from all the pressures and the judgments and the evaluations, and if we have enough time, we start to relax. We start to come back to ourselves. But then vacation is over and we have to go back to work and back to the competition. And the emails start to fly again. And the gossip starts to circulate again. And we start to let those outer voices come in. We let them into us. We let them get to us. Until finally that summer peace or that weekend peace or that peace that can come on retreat is compromised or stolen or made to seem foolish. You're no good, Satan says. Other people are better. You have to change, he says, become more powerful, not let anyone else beat you. There's not enough, Satan says. You have to get yours. And these messages aren't obvious. They're subliminal. They're snaky. They come through some image we glimpse on the internet or some little criticism on the edge of a remark. The sin in the garden wasn't that Adam and Eve were naked, but that they were ashamed to be, that they covered themselves up, that they lost faith in who they really are. And what I love about Jesus in this story of his temptation is that he doesn't listen to those voices, doesn't let Satan convince him that he has to be more interesting or more powerful or more widely known. The desert is enough for him. Ordinary life is enough for him. What Jesus knows is that life is the miracle, and that joy comes not from excess, but from breathing, from walking, from tending a garden, or installing a floor, or writing code, and from loving other people, embracing them, laughing with them. That the sweetest and most miraculous meal of all is the meal we eat in the company of the ones we love. And that all those other subtle temptations, all those other come-ons are just an effort to get us to forget that, to walk away from that, to sinfully desire more than we have, when what we have been given and are always being given is wealth enough and grace abounding, is abundance beyond all telling, always here, always present in the quiet rooms of our houses, in the quiet moments of our lives, in our deserts, in our gardens, in our hearts.